Have you ever been caught completely off guard by a harsh comment or a cutting remark? That moment where someone's words land like a punch, leaving you speechless, angry, or maybe just deeply hurt. It's a common human experience, isn't it? In those situations, knowing how to respond, or even if to respond, feels incredibly difficult. Do you fight back? Do you walk away? Do you just take it? Trying to figure out the right way in the heat of the moment can feel impossible, and often our natural reactions only make things worse, leading to regret and lingering frustration, long after the exchange is over and done with. But what if there was a different path, a way to handle those moments with grace, strength, and a quiet power that leaves you feeling in control, not defeated? Drawing inspiration from timeless principles of human understanding, the kind that have helped countless people navigate complex relationships and difficult personalities, we can unlock a wiser approach. Think about the insights that help bridge divides and turn potential conflicts into opportunities for dignity. That's the essence of the wisdom we're exploring today, channeling the spirit of effective human relations to help you disarm insults without losing your peace of mind. In this video, we're going to dive deep into practical strategies that can change the way you react when faced with insulting behavior. Stick around until the very end, because we'll be sharing key insights that build on each other, giving you a complete framework for responding wisely. You won't want to miss a single one. Before we jump in, if you're looking for ways to improve your interactions and build stronger relationships, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Here are the expanded topics for your script, aiming for a total word count of at least 3,500 words across all sections, maintaining the requested structure and style. Understand the source of the insult. When a cutting remark or a hurtful comment is directed our way, the immediate and often overwhelming reaction is to feel personally attacked, as though the insult is a precise and accurate reflection of our flaws or failures. However, a fundamental principle in understanding human behavior, one echoed in the wisdom of those who master interpersonal dynamics, is that words spoken in anger or intended to harm frequently reveal more about the speaker's internal state than they do about the target of their words. An insult is rarely delivered in a vacuum. It often stems from a wellspring of emotions, experiences, and perspectives residing within the person uttering it. Consider for a moment the possibility that the individual hurling the insult is grappling with their own significant insecurities, feeling inadequate, overlooked, or perhaps experiencing a deep sense of frustration or unhappiness with their own circumstances. Their lashing out could be a misguided attempt to externalize that internal pain, to shift their discomfort onto someone else, even momentarily. It can be a distorted cry for attention, a clumsy expression of jealousy, or a desperate attempt to feel powerful in a situation where they feel powerless. When we can train ourselves to view the insult through this lens, not as a direct hit on who we are, but as a projection of the other person's inner turmoil, we begin to create a crucial emotional distance. This detachment is not about excusing their behavior, which is unacceptable, but about preventing their negativity from penetrating our own sense of self-worth. It allows us to see the insult for what it might truly be, perhaps an unfortunate side effect of their own struggles, a clumsy display of poor emotional regulation, or even a tactic designed specifically to provoke a reaction because they lack more constructive ways to engage. Recognizing that the source of the insult is often rooted in the insulter's own history, their current mood, their biases, or their personal challenges empowers us. It reframes the situation, transforming it from a direct personal indictment into an unfortunate, perhaps even pitiable display of the other person's unresolved issues. This understanding is not a swift or easy shift in perspective. It requires conscious effort and practice. It involves resisting the ego's urge to defend itself immediately, and instead stepping back to observe the interaction with a more objective eye, much like a scientist observes a phenomenon. By asking ourselves, what might be going on with them? That is leading them to say this. We open the door to a more nuanced interpretation than simply, they are saying this because something is inherently wrong with me. This deeper comprehension, this willingness to look beyond the surface-level aggression, is the first crucial step in responding wisely, because it allows us to react from a place of observation and analysis rather than from a raw, wounded emotional state. It permits us to choose our response rather than being instinctively driven by the sting of the words, setting the stage for a more controlled and effective interaction moving forward. Ultimately, internalizing that an insult can be a reflection of the giver's brokenness rather than the receiver's is a powerful act of self-preservation and a foundation for a more measured and thoughtful response to verbal attacks in the complexities of human interaction. Do not immediately retaliate. When the sharp edge of an insult pierces through, the most primal and almost irresistible urge is to strike back. It's a deeply ingrained fight-or-flight response, triggered to defend ourselves against perceived harm. The natural inclination is to retaliate in kind, to unleash our own volley of cutting words, to inflict a similar level of pain on the person who just wounded us. This immediate instinctual reaction is driven by raw emotion, anger, hurt, indignation, and it demands swift, often aggressive action. However, while this might feel momentarily satisfying, a closer examination reveals that immediate retaliation is almost universally counterproductive when the goal is a wise and effective response. Engaging in a tit-for-tat exchange rarely resolves the underlying issue and almost always escalates the conflict. What began as one person's negative comment quickly devolves into a shouting match, a bitter argument, or a hurtful exchange of personal attacks. Both parties become entrenched in their positions, fueled by escalating anger and a desire to win the verbal battle. The outcome is predictable: increased tension, damaged relationships, and a lingering sense of negativity and regret. The cycle of hurt and anger is perpetuated, leaving everyone involved feeling worse off than before the interaction began. A wiser approach, one that requires significant self-control and conscious effort, is to resist this powerful urge for immediate retaliation. It involves pausing, taking a physical and mental step back, and allowing the initial wave of emotion to crest and begin to subside before speaking or acting. This pause, however brief, creates a vital space between the stimulus, the insult, and your response. In that space, you regain control. You shift from being a reactive agent propelled by instinct to a proactive agent, capable of making a deliberate choice about how to proceed. Taking a deep breath is a simple yet effective technique in this pause. It can help to calm the nervous system and regain a sense of groundedness. This moment of deliberate inaction allows you to process the insult with a clearer mind, enabling you to consider the potential consequences of different responses. Will retaliating achieve anything positive? Will it help resolve the situation? Or will it simply pour fuel on the fire? By resisting the urge to immediately strike back, you demonstrate a level of maturity and self-mastery that is disarming to the insulter. You refuse to play the game by their rules, which are designed to provoke a negative emotional reaction. This unexpected lack of retaliation can sometimes take the wind out of their sails, disrupting the anticipated pattern of conflict. It's not about being a doormat. It's about choosing a strategic response over a reactive one. It's about recognizing that while the impulse to retaliate is strong, yielding to it is seldom beneficial in the long run. Cultivating the ability to pause before responding is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence and a fundamental practice for navigating difficult conversations and managing conflict constructively, setting a powerful precedent for how you will allow yourself to be treated moving forward. Maintain your composure and dignity. In the face of an insult, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal is the ability to maintain your composure and uphold your dignity. While you have no control over the words someone else chooses to use or the intentions behind them, you possess absolute control over your own reaction. This is a profound truth, and understanding and internalizing it is key to navigating hurtful interactions without being consumed by them. When you respond to an insult with visible anger, distress, tears, or a dramatic outburst, you inadvertently grant the insulter a significant measure of power over you. Your emotional reaction becomes their perceived victory. It confirms that their words had the intended effect, that they managed to get under your skin and disrupt your inner state. In essence, you hand them the reins to your emotional well-being, in that moment. By contrast, maintaining a calm exterior, even when you feel turmoil within, serves multiple crucial purposes. Firstly, it denies the insulter the satisfaction of seeing you visibly affected. This can be surprisingly disarming to them, as their goal might have been precisely to elicit a strong negative emotional response. When they see that their words did not shatter your composure, their tactic loses its effectiveness and its intended impact is diminished significantly. Secondly, maintaining composure allows you to think more clearly. Strong emotions like anger or hurt can cloud judgment and lead to impulsive, often regrettable actions or words. By staying calm, you preserve your capacity for rational thought, enabling you to choose your response deliberately, rather than being swept away by feeling. This controlled state allows you to consider the situation more objectively, recall the advice we are discussing, and select a course of action that aligns with your long-term goals and values, not just your immediate emotional impulse. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, maintaining your composure is an act of profound self-respect. It sends a clear message to yourself and to the person delivering the insult that you value your own peace and dignity above engaging in a chaotic emotional exchange. It demonstrates that you are not easily rattled, that your sense of self is not so fragile that it can be undone by another person's negative words. Upholding your dignity means refusing to descend to the level of the insulter. It means choosing to operate from a place of respect, both for yourself and potentially even for the difficult position the other person might be in, without condoning their behavior. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend you aren't affected. It means you choose how and when you express those feelings, and you do so in a way that is constructive rather than destructive. The ability to remain calm under fire is a hallmark of maturity and emotional resilience. It is a skill that can be cultivated through conscious practice and a commitment to not letting the negativity of others dictate your internal state. By prioritizing your composure and dignity, you build an inner fortress that protects you from the slings and arrows of unwarranted criticism and hurtful words, ensuring that you remain the architect of your own emotional landscape throughout life's challenging interactions. Consider if a response is necessary. In the immediate aftermath of receiving an insult, there's a powerful internal pressure to do something, to defend, to explain, to counterattack, or to somehow acknowledge that the words were heard and processed. However, one of the most insightful questions you can ask yourself in that moment, before any words leave your lips or any action is taken, is a response truly necessary here? It might seem counterintuitive. Surely, an insult demands a response, doesn't it? Yet often the most strategic and powerful response is no response at all. Not every negative comment or hurtful statement warrants your time, energy, or emotional investment. Engaging with an insult, even to defend yourself, can sometimes give it more weight and validity than it deserves. By responding, you acknowledge the insult. You enter into the frame of negativity that the other person has created, and you open yourself up to further interaction within that negative space. Sometimes the insulter is looking for a reaction, any reaction. They might be bored, seeking attention, trying to provoke an argument, or simply feeling malicious. When you withhold the anticipated response, you deny them the outcome they were seeking. Your silence in this context becomes a powerful refusal to engage on their terms. It's a quiet assertion that their words do not have the power to pull you into their drama or to derail your emotional equilibrium. This form of non-response is not passive resignation. It is an active choice to protect your inner peace and conserve your energy. It's a strategic decision to not allocate your valuable resources, your time, your emotional labor, your mental focus, to a situation that will likely only escalate and leave you feeling drained. There are many ways to enact this non-response. It could be a simple, neutral expression and then changing the subject. It could be physically removing yourself from the situation if possible. It could be meeting the insult with a calm, even gaze that conveys that their words had no impact. The key is that you are consciously choosing not to engage with the insult directly. This requires a certain level of confidence and a secure sense of self. If you are constantly seeking external validation, The urge to defend yourself against any perceived criticism, however unfounded, will be strong. But when you are grounded in your own self-worth, you don't feel the need to justify yourself to someone who is choosing to be hurtful. You recognize that their words are their issue, not yours, and you can choose to simply let them pass without engaging. Learning to discern when a response is necessary and when it is not is a critical skill for navigating difficult relationships and maintaining healthy boundaries. It's about choosing your battles wisely and recognizing that some conflicts are best won by not participating in them at all. This deliberate non-engagement is a powerful tool for preserving your emotional health and asserting your autonomy in the face of negativity, a quiet strength that speaks volumes without uttering a single word. If you respond, focus on facts, not emotion. There will be instances where choosing not to respond to an insult is simply not feasible or appropriate. Perhaps the insult occurs in a professional setting, requires clarification, or directly impacts something tangible that needs addressing. In these situations, where a response becomes necessary, the manner in which you deliver that response is paramount. The most effective strategy is to strip away the emotional layer and focus strictly on the facts of the situation or the specific statement made. When you respond emotionally to an insult, with anger, defensiveness, or tears, you not only risk escalating the conflict, but you also dilute the clarity and impact of your message. Strong emotions can make your words sound irrational or disproportionate, even if you have a valid point. The other person, who may be looking to provoke an emotional reaction, can then dismiss your response as simply being too sensitive or overreacting, thereby shifting the focus away from their own inappropriate behavior. Instead, if you choose to respond, aim for a calm, measured, and factual delivery. Address the specific remark or action that constituted the insult, without making sweeping judgments about the other person's character or intent. For example, instead of saying, "You're always so rude and inconsiderate," which is an emotional judgment about their character, you could say, "When you said specific words, I understood it to mean your interpretation. Is that what you intended?" This type of response focuses on the observable facts, the words spoken, and seeks to clarify rather than accuse. It keeps the conversation grounded in reality and makes it more difficult for the other person to deflect by claiming you are being overly emotional. Focusing on facts also allows you to maintain your objectivity. When you are emotionally invested, it's easy to misinterpret intentions or jump to conclusions. By sticking to the factual elements of the interaction, you reduce the likelihood of making erroneous assumptions and keep the focus on the behavior itself. This approach requires a conscious effort to detach from your feelings in the moment and access your rational mind. It's about choosing to engage with the content of the insult if necessary, rather than the emotional energy behind it. It also involves being precise with your language, avoiding inflammatory terms and generalizations. The goal is not to win an argument or to punish the other person, but to address the situation in a way that is constructive, maintains your dignity, and potentially opens the door for clearer communication in the future. By responding factually and calmly, you demonstrate maturity and a commitment to resolving issues rather than simply venting frustration. This can be a disarming approach to someone who is expecting an emotional fight, and it sets a different tone for the interaction. It's a powerful way to communicate that, while you heard their words, you are choosing to engage with them on a rational level, effectively sidestepping the emotional trap that insults often lay. Seek to understand, not just to be understood. In the heat of a difficult interaction, especially when faced with an insult, our natural inclination is to want to be heard, to explain our position, to justify ourselves, and to ensure the other person understands how their words have affected us. We focus intensely on conveying our own perspective and ensuring that our truth is acknowledged. While there are times when expressing your feelings and perspective is necessary, a powerful and often underutilized strategy when faced with an insult, particularly if there's a possibility of misunderstanding or an ongoing relationship is involved, is to shift your focus from being understood to seeking to understand the other person. This doesn't mean agreeing with the insult or validating hurtful behavior. It means adopting a posture of genuine curiosity about what might be driving their words. Sometimes an insult isn't a deliberate act of malice, but stems from a place of confusion, a misinterpretation of your actions or intentions, or the expression of an unmet need that they don't know how to articulate more constructively. By approaching the situation with a desire to understand their perspective, you open up the possibility of uncovering the root cause of the insult, which might be entirely different from what you initially assumed. This can involve asking open-ended, non-confrontational questions aimed at gaining clarity. Phrases like, "Can you help me understand what you meant by that?" Or, "Could you explain what led you to that conclusion?" can invite the other person to elaborate on their thinking. This approach requires setting aside your defensiveness for a moment and genuinely listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but actively trying to grasp their point of view, even if you don't agree with it. When people feel heard and understood, even in moments of conflict, it can significantly de-escalate tension and make them more receptive to hearing your perspective later. By showing that you are willing to listen and understand, you are demonstrating a level of empathy and maturity that can be disarming to someone who is expecting resistance or counterattack. This approach aligns with principles of effective communication that emphasize building bridges rather than reinforcing walls. It recognizes that underneath the surface-level insult might be deeper issues that, if addressed with understanding, could improve the relationship or prevent similar incidents in the future. Seeking to understand is not about condoning the insult. It's about employing a strategic communication tactic that can transform a purely adversarial interaction into one that has the potential for clarity and resolution. It requires humility and a willingness to believe that there might be more to the situation than initially meets the eye. By prioritizing understanding their perspective first, you create a more conducive environment for eventually sharing your own and potentially finding a path forward that addresses the underlying issues rather than just the superficial expression of the insult itself. This approach demonstrates emotional intelligence and a sophisticated understanding of the dynamics of human interaction, proving far more effective than simply trying to assert your own rightness in the face of hurtful words. Do not internalize the insult. One of the most critical aspects of responding wisely to an insult is preventing it from penetrating your core sense of self and causing lasting damage to your self-esteem. An insult is, fundamentally, just a collection of words spoken by another individual. These words are filtered through their unique perceptions, biases, experiences, and current emotional state. Their view of you, especially in a moment of negativity or conflict, is likely incomplete, potentially distorted, and certainly not the definitive truth of who you are. Allowing an insult to define you, to erode your self-worth, or to become a negative label you carry is a significant act of self-harm. When you internalize an insult, you essentially take ownership of someone else's negative opinion and integrate it into your own identity. You begin to believe the hurtful words are true, even if they are unfounded or wildly inaccurate. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, anxiety, and a diminished sense of confidence over time. It's like taking poison offered by someone else and choosing to drink it yourself, allowing their negativity to contaminate your inner landscape. Your inherent value as a person is not contingent on the opinions, judgments, or moods of others. It doesn't fluctuate based on whether someone is having a bad day and directs their frustration towards you, or whether they harbor jealousy or resentment that manifests as critical remarks. Your worth is intrinsic. It is a fundamental aspect of your being, independent of external validation or condemnation. Recognizing this truth is a powerful shield against the sting of insults. It allows you to view the insult as external noise, something directed at you but not necessarily about you in any meaningful or accurate sense. You can observe the words, perhaps analyze them objectively if necessary, but refuse to let them penetrate your emotional core. This doesn't mean you won't feel a pang of hurt initially. That's a natural human reaction. But the key is to not dwell on that feeling, to not let it fester and grow into a belief about yourself. You process the initial reaction and then consciously choose to release the insult, refusing to give it power over your internal state. This requires a strong sense of self-awareness and a well-developed internal locus of control. It means knowing who you are, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and grounding your self-perception in your own values and experiences, rather than in the shifting sands of other people's opinions. When you are secure in your own identity, an insult can be seen for what it is, a reflection of the other person's perspective, not a definitive statement about your reality. Learning not to internalize insults is an ongoing practice of self-affirmation and emotional resilience. It involves consciously challenging negative self-talk that might arise in response to an insult and replacing it with a more accurate and compassionate view of yourself. It is a vital step in protecting your mental and emotional health and ensuring that the negativity of others does not derail your sense of self-worth or limit your potential. Set clear boundaries if necessary. While many insults can be navigated through understanding, composure, and choosing not to internalize them, there are situations where insulting behavior is not a one-off event, but a recurring pattern, becoming a form of emotional abuse or consistent disrespect. In these cases, simply ignoring the insult or trying to understand the other person's perspective is insufficient and can even be detrimental to your well-being. When faced with persistent insulting behavior, it becomes necessary to establish clear and firm boundaries. Boundaries are not about controlling the other person's behavior. They are about defining what is acceptable and unacceptable treatment towards you and outlining the consequences if those limits are crossed. Setting a boundary in response to insulting behavior involves calmly and directly stating what you will not tolerate and what you will do if the behavior continues. This should be done when you are calm and thinking clearly, not in the heat of the moment immediately after an insult has been delivered. For example, you might say, "I understand you might be feeling acknowledge their potential feeling without excusing the behavior, but it is not okay for you to call me the insult. If that happens again, I will state the consequence, e.g., end the conversation, leave the room, limit future contact." The key to setting effective boundaries is clarity, directness, and consistency. The boundary needs to be communicated in a way that leaves no room for ambiguity about what the unacceptable behavior is and what the response will be. It needs to be delivered calmly and firmly, conveying that you are serious about protecting yourself, and that this is not an emotional outburst but a deliberate decision. And most importantly, you must be prepared to follow through on the stated consequence if the boundary is crossed again. Setting boundaries can feel challenging, especially with people we are close to, due to fear of conflict, guilt, or a desire to avoid upsetting the other person. However, failing to set boundaries teaches others that it is acceptable to treat you poorly. It can erode your self-respect and lead to a cycle of resentment and frustration. By setting boundaries, you are teaching others how you expect to be treated, and you are prioritizing your own emotional health and dignity. This is an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It communicates that you value yourself enough to not tolerate harmful behavior. While setting a boundary might initially create tension or discomfort, in healthy relationships, people will respect your boundaries over time. In unhealthy relationships, the boundary might be met with resistance, anger, or manipulation, which can be a difficult experience, but also provides valuable information about the nature of that relationship and whether it is truly serving your well-being. Setting boundaries is not about being mean or unapproachable. It's about creating a safe space for yourself in your interactions with others, ensuring that your relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and consideration, rather than allowing yourself to be subjected to persistent, hurtful behavior. Limit your exposure to consistently insulting people. Following logically from the necessity of setting boundaries, there are unfortunately situations where, despite your best efforts to understand, maintain composure, set boundaries, and communicate effectively, a person's behavior remains consistently insulting, disrespectful, or even harmful. These are individuals whose pattern of communication includes frequent criticism, demeaning remarks, personal attacks, or a general lack of regard for your feelings or dignity. In such cases, even the wisest response strategies may not change. Their behavior, and continuing to expose yourself to their negativity, can have a significant detrimental impact on your mental and emotional well-being. When you are repeatedly subjected to insults, it can chip away at your self-esteem. increase your stress levels, contribute to anxiety or depression, and create a constant state of unease and tension in your interactions. It's akin to being exposed to a toxic substance. Over time, it can poison your inner landscape. In these circumstances, the most effective and self-preserving strategy is often to limit your exposure to the consistently insulting person. This doesn't necessarily mean completely cutting them out of your life, although in some severe cases, that may be the healthiest option. Limiting exposure can take various forms depending on the nature of the relationship and your circumstances. It could mean reducing the frequency of your interactions, shortening the duration of your encounters, avoiding certain topics of conversation that reliably lead to insults, or changing the environment where you typically interact to one that is less conducive to their behavior. For example, if a family member is consistently critical at large gatherings, you might choose to spend less time in direct conversation with them or engage only when other people are present. If a colleague is routinely demeaning in casual office chatter, you might limit your time in break rooms or focus conversations strictly on work-related topics. Limiting exposure is not about avoiding conflict out of fear. It's a proactive decision to protect your own emotional health and energy from a source of consistent negativity that you cannot control or change. It's an acknowledgement that some relationships in their current state are harmful to your well-being, and you have the right and the responsibility to prioritize your own health. This decision can be particularly difficult when the person is a family member, a long-term friend, or a colleague you cannot entirely avoid. It requires courage to prioritize your needs over the potential discomfort or disapproval of the other person. However, the long-term benefits to your mental and emotional health are immeasurable. By limiting your exposure to consistently insulting people, you create space for healthier relationships, reduce the influx of negativity into your life, and protect your self-esteem from ongoing erosion. It's an essential strategy for maintaining boundaries and ensuring that your environment supports your well-being, rather than undermining it with relentless negativity and disrespect. So we've walked through this often challenging territory together, exploring what happens when someone's words are meant to sting, and how we can choose to navigate those moments differently. We've seen that while the initial hurt is real, we don't have to be tossed about by the winds of someone else's negativity. We've talked about shifting our focus from the blow itself to understanding where that blow might be coming from, recognizing that the insult often says more about the other person's struggles than it does about your worth. Remember, you have the power to choose not to strike back in anger, to protect your own composure and dignity like a shield, and to carefully consider whether engaging with the negativity is even worth your precious energy. We've emphasized the vital importance of not letting hurtful words seep into your soul and redefine who you are. Your value is inherent, not granted or taken away by someone else's opinion. And for those persistent situations, we've discussed the strength in setting clear boundaries and, when necessary, wisely limiting your exposure to people whose behavior consistently undermines your peace. Ultimately, every single one of these difficult interactions, while uncomfortable, is a classroom. Each one offers a chance to learn, to refine your approach, and to build a deeper, more resilient inner core that can stand firm in the face of future challenges, no matter how sharp the words directed your way might be. The power isn't in stopping others from speaking, it's in mastering your own response and safeguarding your own well-being. Putting these ideas into practice takes time and effort, but the reward is a greater sense of control over your emotional landscape and a deeper, more unshakable peace of mind. If this conversation resonated with you and you're ready to continue building your skills in navigating difficult people and situations with wisdom and grace, we encourage you to explore further. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. What strategies have worked for you? And if you found value in this discussion, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more insights on building stronger relationships and living a more fulfilling life.